All right, hello everyone. Dregn Durant here of the S0088. Thank you all for joining us today on episode 8 of Exploring AI. And today's topic is going to be looking at image to music, which is something a little different from what we've done in the earlier episodes, where we touched a bit on ChatGPT in text generation. We looked at Midjourney and talked about some other AI art generation tools out there for going text to image. And I don't know what prompted me to look into this in between our episode earlier today, where we looked at planets and I guess we looked at creatures from space in a way. But I got into a bit of a music vibe this a couple hours ago. Started listening to some of those typical YouTube lo-fi channels while I was going about my day, having a little bit of food. And it came to me, it's like, I wonder how far image to music has come. Because I've seen models for text to music. I'm aware that those exist. I'm also aware that AI generating music based on keywords exist, or filters, right? We've showcased a little bit of that through SoundRaw, which we've played some tracks here and there from them. But along the way, I had found a way, or not really found a way, I had discovered a individual who is on a particular site that has integrated or created a process to call two other models, one being a image to text generator, which then sends off to a text to music generator. Well, technically, I guess that's how it would have worked anyways, right? I guess there may exist models where you can take an image and convert it directly to music, but at the moment, a lot of these AI models, as we saw during that viewing of the Vox, talking about kind of what's going on with the AI text to image generators, for example, but going from image to keywords, image to text, and then reversing that process to text to image, right, is kind of what we're at today. So as a test, I found, I went ahead and I've been playing with a few more keywords, and I decided to make a little small Firefox companion smoking a pipe. I thought that was a funny idea. So did a couple of those and came across this one, which again, there's a few, if you look carefully, a few pieces of it that could use some touching up by a proper professional, but the vibe, right, is still there. So, you know, Fox looking, I don't even know. What was he looking at? What's he thinking about? Is he just looking at the smoke, or is there something going on? Maybe it's a wise wizard in a foxy outfit. Who knows what the deal is? But I had taken this image to that model I was talking about, and it came up with something like this. I don't know. Does that track? I think the beat's interesting. I wasn't entirely sure if it worked with the image, but then I'm also curious. I don't get to see what image to text is being generated, and from there I don't quite understand the text to music, how that's working here. But this I was able to output a little 2-minute audio using that generator. Definitely seems to follow typical patterns and rhythms that I've heard from other music generators, right? It's kind of cut up in sections. Yeah, so if you're looking for any sort of real diversity, I feel a proper musician's still going to be your go-to here. But if you're just looking for a beat or somewhere to start, I suppose this is a way to handle that. Yeah, what do you guys think about this? Does it fit? See, that's the one thing. I feel like hearing this track, I can piece it together to some other ideas and concepts, but trying to piece it together to this fox here seems a bit off. Maybe what we could try doing is generating it again, see if it gives us a similar result, or if it'll generate a different result. I feel like one flaw here is the text to music alone is not enough to capture the vibe of an image. And let's see, I had set it to loop, which is interesting that it has the option to do that. Okay, kind of sort of loops, but let's go ahead and stop that. But yeah, that was something that was made from, allegedly, this image. So how did that happen? How did we do that? Well, I had found a site called HuggingFace. Not sure what the implication with that is, but from what I can tell, I went ahead and made an account just to follow and see what's up here. But if we go to, what is it? I can't view just like the typical homepage anymore now that I've made an account. Come on. That's not it. All right, I guess let's go to model. So we're going to get a little bit of contrast with switching screens here. This site doesn't appear to have a, oh, it does have a dark theme. It must. What is this button down here? Oh, hell yeah, let's go. All right, I was going to say, man, people who working with computers all day don't have a dark mode. That I'm not sure how I feel about that. But anyways, yeah, this HuggingFace site seems to be a sort of open community resource slash place to store and share different models that people are working on. It seems to be very integratable, or it seems like you can integrate it pretty well with like GitHub, right, which is a large kind of data repository that a lot of programmers use for code collaboration, for example, or just storage and depository for depository. They deposit their code essentially, or collaborate on code is the short of it. But yeah, you can see here, right, there's different spaces. So you have a lot of large organizations are here. So you got Intel here, Microsoft is out here. There's definitely members of those businesses who are leveraging these tools. You have a bunch of individuals, and then you have a bunch of different models that people are putting out there to, I don't know, I suppose, solve various challenges or just to try things out of curiosity. But I've noticed that there's actually thousands, there's hundreds of thousands of different models. And it seems like there must be some sort of a data set repository here. So folks can collect that data, much like individuals today might go data mining in a video game, or they might do data mining, or what is it? Resource dumps. Is that it? Resource dumps of like various websites. I remember back in when I was looking at a lot of, I don't remember what it was. It was back in, was it high school? I forget. But there's various sites, right, that would have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of images. And there were people, say, on like 4chan, or I want to say some people would even like scrape images off of DeviantArt back then, right? So they would say, hey, here's the 2016 collection of this artist's work that they had posted online. And that was the thing, which it's funny today thinking that we have an issue with AI parent organizations doing that, but that type of stuff existed long before. I guess it's the question of what are they doing with it, right? That is really kind of raising question marks and flags. But yeah, the act of, collecting information, collecting data, and essentially compiling it in a way is not really a new concept from what I've seen. And right, a lot of these data sets end up being much of that type of activity. So yeah, this HuggingFace site has several data sets that you could probably call from. Again, I wonder how much of this is freely available information versus something that maybe someone collected and put up without considering what process needs to come first. But yeah, it looks like there's a few language models. It looks like there's a few image collections, a lot of wiki entries, a lot of these kind of public sites or Yelp review full. Yeah, so people have gone out there. I don't know, I don't really want to get into the weeds too much with a single one of them. But my understanding again is that the voice models also appear to be a trend that I've noticed when I scrolled through it earlier. So yeah, there's various data sets here that people are going to be able to call from, and then there's various models that people are creating using, I suppose, a combination of what is available on this site as well as any sort of integrated access that they have, such as Git repositories. So very interesting portal, very interesting community. Again, the technical dude, you do that again, I'm gonna ban you, buddy. Gonna put you in timeout, man. What up, soul? But yeah, the site here, right? And I'm certain there's several sites that are like this, where it is a collective community that is collaborating to do techie nerdy things, which from my experience for coming from the tech world, this is not uncommon, right? So I wish I could find, maybe it exists. I don't know. You guys from the artsy world, you let me know. But I mean, do sites like this exist in the artistic world? Where, I mean, the closest thing I can think of would be like an ArtStation or DeviantArt, and those platforms will try to promote, a project or something that people can collectively do. I think the biggest site that I've seen really pull this off is Pixiv, right? The Japanese site. I think it originated in Japan. I'm pretty sure it was Japanese based. But I think they have an English portal now that came out several years ago. It used to be predominantly Japanese. But they would do like annual or monthly, I forget, projects. And they would get a lot of support. And that was really cool to see. I don't really hear that happening in the Western artistic sphere. But again, I'm only like a year into actually caring. So do they? You tell me, bro. You have no idea. Yeah, I mean, I've surfed the web for many years. I've been on several art sites, observing and respecting and and finding inspiration and all that goodness. But actually going to the depths of, seeing what a person's, like an artist's journey has been, or looking at, potential for collaborations or sites that encourage collaborations. I can't really say I've seen the Western platforms really promote a lot of that stuff. I mean, I've seen attempts made, or I've seen collections of art gathered for like a highlight. But as far as like promoting collaboration, I don't really know if I've seen that out here. So, yeah, it's a different dynamic in my experience from just my observations. But from the technical side, right, as we see here, do they have a list of users by chance? Probably not. But if I look at models alone, yeah, look at that. There's over 100,000 models that exist, and this is just people being nerds, people collaborating together and being nerds. So, yeah, tech world definitely, right. Whether you like tech or not, it's a bunch of people who think it's cool half the time, or they want to be on the forefront of something new, which tech and fantasy and all that stuff is typically going to be up there. But you know what? You guys let me know. Leave a comment if you're checking this out, and I'm very, very curious. I know a lot of artists are gonna see the AI tag and they're gonna be like, nope, I'm noping out of here right away. But if you make it this far, I really do want to see what kind of collaborations are actually happening in the art sphere, because outside of a few exceptions, it does seem to be pretty scarce. So I think what we'll do today, right, is we're going to play around with this model that I had come across, Image-to-Music. And it does seem like it might be getting hammered pretty hard at the moment. A lot of these AI tools seem to get pretty hammered during the daytime from what I've noticed. But we're going to try to take maybe some of our mid-journey work that we've done and convert it to music and see what kind of music this model will put out for us. art swaps. Art swaps are a little different because art swaps are more of like an exchange, right? The art swaps, if I understand from the word alone, it's like when two artists will like, hey, I'll draw you if you draw me type of a deal, right? Or hey, I need some practice in this. Mind if I draw you? Or I mean, it doesn't even have to be two way, right? It could just be like, hey, I want to draw your shit, and then you do it, and then you pass along, and then maybe if they like it, they'll feel inspired to draw your shit, and then they'll draw one of your stuff, right? Yeah, but see, that's I feel like that's based in more of like an exchange or in a state of like learning or experimenting or inspiring. It's it feels a little different from collaborating in the way that, hey, let's get a couple chefs in the kitchen to make something really good, right? Like that shared labor in a way, which is kind of what I'm trying to figure out how to do over here with the streaming and everything to get some people together to make some really cool stuff. But it is tricky without having, I guess, a proven model that you can be like, see, I was able to do it this way. If we group together to do it, we could do some really badass shit. But I don't know. We're trying it out. We're figuring it out. But yeah, in the trying to think like what's the incentive for like the technical guys to do it. I mean, it's like, hey, there's this idea I have, I want to make it. Trying to brainstorm code, or everyone contributing to different aspects of code depending on their specialty. So like one art project I'd like to really try pushing, and again, it's been dumb trying to get people to do this, because I get it in a way. It's artists are working on their own shit, trying to improve their own skills. They do it because they want to draw, but at the same time, like, what if we got one artist to do a sketch, one artist to do color, one artist to do finishing? And I'm sure there's a few steps in between that I'm not aware of, but like, have people done that? I don't think I've been able to find any sort of YouTube videos of people really doing art telephone. Closest thing I've been able to find might be what was that? What was that telephone game for artists? Shoot. Gardic phone? Gardic phone seemed pretty close to what I was thinking about. One of my favorite things that I've seen from there, from a collaborative point of view, is people who will, who are artists, will do like animation using Gardic phone, right? They'll try to create like a coherent animation using Gardic phone. And I was like, that's really cool. I feel like that'd be a really cool idea for just a video in general, and just to experiment and try it out and push your limits. But yeah, trying to get people together to do that, just because maybe I'm not an artist to contribute towards it. It'd be more organizing. A little tricky. I don't know. You guys let me know what might work best here. But sometimes there are artists that find another artist's ability to do something better than their own, so they start drawing and hand it off to another artist that does the part they want done better. It's hard to do what you are talking about because some people skip sketching or do the sketching, but in such an abstract way the next person wouldn't get it. Yeah, I guess that's a bit of an issue, right? Because when you're looking at, say, the sciences, whether it be, something based in math or formulas or whatnot, there's usually some kind of a common baseline that they're all working off of. Like code people might code differently, and there might be a few different ways to do code, but you can do sections of code where the expected in is common and the expected out is also common, right? Or you can set what is the expected in, what is the expected out, so that way you have a process that the next person knows what they can expect going into it, and the person that they are passing it on to, they realize that, hey, it has to output something that they can understand, right? Whereas an artist and their process is pretty unique to each creative. So I can see that if you try to do it just like on the fly, it would be a little difficult. But I don't know, man. I feel like if you were to promote, say, this is what step 1 needs to roughly look like, who would be interested? If this is what step 2 is involving, who would be interested? If this is what step 3 requires, who would be interested? I don't know. I feel like there's a way to do it. It's a challenge to get people on board. Seems to be the biggest challenge. Is that an issue with my presentation of the idea, or is that an issue with the lack of example. But how do you get an example? It's like you need to do it to get an example to begin with, right? It's the typical modern day issue of you need work experience to get a job. It's like, well, shit, how do I get work experience? Yeah. There are other people that don't do line art, so they just clean up their sketch lines to make work with the image. Here's another question, I guess, since Soul, you're being super helpful today. Uh, do you feel like artists in general would look at, say, the sketch work of another artist and feel like they could take that and make something a step up from it? Or do you think like they'll look at a sketch of that someone does and be like, I don't know what to do with this because it's not my process? I don't know. I saw an artist that draws women really well hand off his work to an artist that does gore art. How did that go? You might need to find that and send it to me if you get a chance. Be curious to see what that flow looks like. Depends on skill level and mentality of the artist perceiving. Yeah, I could see that playing a role, but that would be the case with any field, I would imagine, right? You need a certain degree of confidence going into it. There needs to be a certain set of expectations that, the parties can understand and collaborate and work together on. I don't know if you want to see that, to be honest. Is it weird? Or did it go off in a bad direction? What the... Okay, I'm still curious, but now you're making me second guess. But anyways, all right, let's do a couple of these images though. It's definitely something I'm curious about. So, if an artist here out there, if you're watching, leave a comment. Share a title of a video that I can go look up or something. Definitely curious to see what artists are doing to get together, what musicians are doing. Actually, musicians, I've seen there's been a growing trend of people doing song and music collaboratively, because whether that be these social media sites that let you kind of make videos with other videos, right? I've seen a lot of, short 40-second videos that, one guy's singing, he leaves a gap, someone else fills it in, right? That's pretty cool. That's pretty collaborative. And then also on YouTube, I've noticed a lot of musicians, or several musicians, right, have begun doing collaborative work where they'll make like a song together, which again, some people I think are figuring out that process and it's working well for them. But I think there's a large majority of dudes out there, folks out there, who are still in this kind of island mentality, which is kind of something. It's one of those aspects that I want to try to crack the ice a little bit. Because like me, I don't think my art is half as good as the artist I follow. So if I see the sketch and draw it from my style from there, I will draw something similar, but I won't have the end game image in mind. Okay. But I also think, see, this is another issue I have. I know I'm getting on tangents again, but the creative side of the world, I always felt like was more appropriate for like mentoring, where you have someone that you would respect, that you can, learn from. And I think social media and just the internet in general has actually started to, in more recent years, evolved in a way where people are realizing that, hey, I could share my thoughts and experiences and people can check that out. Now, it's a bit of a hands-off mentorship, but I've seen, I think there's been a few folks, and I think that I've mentioned this artist a couple of times now just because he has a pretty iconic style in the, I think, community that we're involved in. So Sam does art, right? Pretty big dude. And again, another dude that I've met briefly at a convention. Seems pretty chill. His videos have come across pretty chill. But artists like him, or a lot of senior artists who maybe worked in the industry, who were educators, who, were they've turned to, say, like YouTube videos and content. Like a lot of them will draw and talk about what they're doing, right? Which is, I think, another reason why I would encourage, people who are doing art to just put it out there, because whether it be someone of equal or lesser quality who sees it and gives you advice, or someone who by happenstance maybe is of greater quality, sees your work and is, somehow gives you advice. Or who knows? Who knows? Maybe it inspires somebody to collaborate you. But I feel putting the work out there is the best thing that you can do as someone who wants to pursue it. Because it's already amazing enough that you could take something in your head and put it on a piece of paper, for example, or digital art or whatever it may be, music even. But I feel like too many people keep it to themselves. And when you keep it to yourself and no one ever sees it, potentially it even just ends up in the trash. What's the difference from it being in your head? Right? I don't know. So Jam helps you with your art. That's cool. That's cool. I like it. Do more of that. But yeah, anyways, point being, I think getting some sort of a how do I want to phrase this? Creating a friendly environment for artists to more openly work with one another, I think is a good thing. And maybe I appreciate the VTubing community with the whole Spaceman thing going on here, right? For those unfamiliar with it, the VTubing community, I think, is pretty grounded in a degree of collaborative work, whether that be working with various creators in a more one-off business fashion to get to this end product, or others who dive into it wanting to learn and create it on their own, right? And looking to others who have done it already for advice. It seems to be a very open environment. And then obviously from those who are doing it, there seems to be a very large group of individuals who are artistically inspired, who are pursuing. They have some sort of a visual representation for themselves, right, that they've drawn. And in the case of this VTubing sphere, many of them also even consider just making their own model or going into, promoting their own style in a channel format, which is it's interesting to see how each person's creativity kind of shapes the way that their channel changes and evolves and grow and all that goodness. So yeah, definitely very interesting. But anyways, I've spent half an hour chatting away. Let's get over to looking at a couple examples, right? So if we come over here to our Midjourney page, let's look at what we've created. Actually here, so this is one I created earlier, or not I created, but right, I made the prompt for. So abstract art and just inspiration, just to see what, again, the AI would do. Curious what kind of music would come out of this. Again, it's not taking the image and converting it one-to-one to music in a kind of diffused model, looking at the colors. It's converting the image to text, which is then converting it to music. So it's more text to music than it is image to music, and from what I could tell. But it would be fun to try. So let's see if it works. Hopefully it's not getting hammered too much and it's not going to glitch out on me, but let's try it. Takes about 40 seconds to a minute, it looks like. And then we're going to set it to loop mode. Loop mode is something that I wish more tools had the option to create loop mode. Just because the way it cuts off the art or fades it out at the end is pretty limited, since a lot of the AI music generators, or just music generators in general, seem to be limited to about 30 seconds to 5 minutes seems to be the range, which if you're looping it, that's more than enough time. But if you want to make a track that's 5 minutes, well, the AI inherently breaks the song up into quadrants, and there's little segments that kind of repeat, and there's maybe like a section that, what's the word? I forget all the musical terms. It's been too long. But there's a section that raises the beat or increases the tension or the vibe or reduces it, depending on the speed and the tempo, the intensity, all that goodness. But it looks like this one has completed. So let's see. Let's see what this piece here is going to sound like. How is that? I think the tones, there's some softer tones in there that I feel work really well. I suppose it's going to be to each their own and how they perceive this piece and if the audio matches it, but it's a little rough. Yeah, the beat's a little rough. I'm really curious what the text prompt that it generated from this would be. This slower section seems a little better. Again, my taste. You know what's interesting is the first time I heard it, the beginning section, I was less confident in the pairing, but coming back to it, I don't know, maybe it does work. God, the audio is so rough though. Not polished at all. Yeah, what do you guys think? Okay, interesting. I don't know. I think the longer it went on, the more I could see it going with this piece. Curious. Curious. It sounds all right. Yeah, I think that's how I would put it though, right? It kind of sort of works, but it definitely doesn't feel like it was made for it or from it. Trying to mentally prepare yourself. Uh-oh. Good news, bad news? Don't worry about it, bro. If you can't chat, you can't chat, dude. Just lurk. But yeah, interesting. Definitely an interesting one. All right, let's try another one. Let's see what we got. So I made this one, or we have this one. Not sure if it's going to give us something similar, but oh, you know what? Let's use one of these from earlier today. One of our, let's go with the little space whale one. Still this appendage in its back, it's cracking me up. Although creepy squid octopus thing might be worth doing too. You know, no, let's do space. Let's do the space dude. This guy power posing. This will probably have at least a clear response generated, right? It must. All right, where's this image at? There it is. And generate. So thinking about it, I wonder what will happen with this one here. It's also curious. Actually, you know, while we're waiting, we could check real quick. So this is using Clip Interrogator and Mubert. Clip Interrogator, what is it? Figure out a good prompt, create new images like an existing one. Clip Interrogator is here to get you answers. Wow. You can skip the queue by duplicating this space and upgrading to GPU in settings. So if I were to drag the same image, and it says best for stable diffusion. Oh, we don't, oh, error. Application's too busy. Can we do it fast? How about the other model? Fast? Nope. All right, not sure how the other tool is able to pull it off unless they made a copy of it, right? Because again, much like Git repositories, either this is pulling a similar Git model or you can simply store this information here. You basically have the various tools here, versions, whatnot. And then you can copy it, download it, and use it in your own application of it. All right, well, unfortunately, this doesn't seem to be working in the sample here, so we'd have to duplicate it, which I'm not going to do at the moment. But then Mubert, which is the text-to-music, is an actual company, research interest, so they say. Text-to-music, email, prompt, audio, generate loop. Do I need my email? Result message, and oh, it creates tags for it too. Okay. Oh, this is a demo. Okay. So Mubert, I don't really know much about Mubert. Human AI generative music. Mubert render for creators, soundtracks that fit your mood, tempo, blah, blah, blah. Studio for artists, money on track, sample loops. Team up with AI. Interesting. API for developer and brands. Are they backed by somebody? I don't know a whole lot of people who come down here and look at this stuff. Interesting. What does this look like? It's probably looks like it's going to be very similar to the SoundRaw site that we've used. So, space among the stars. Moods, genres, activities. Let's go with chill. Oh, it's not even a type. It's putting prompts in here. All right, so you still have to choose the categories, it seems. Activity. Not sure what minimal means. Cardio. This must be BPM, beats per minute. I assume is what the numbers are for. Let's see. Pink noise. What's pink noise? Brown noise, white noise, I know. Fantasy, cyberpunk, sci-fi? No, you can only pick one. All right, the prompt seems to have changed. Yeah, it's changing on me, so that's, I don't like that very much, but what happens if I hit generate? I get a sample, 45-second sample. Let's see what it does here. Learning, everything's in Japanese. What are you learning, dude? We're all learning out here. All right. Oh, this one finished. Okay. Ooh, that's loud. Volume. There is none. All right, hold up. I got to turn the browser volume. That's not it. Browser volume. Let's turn that down here. So is it cyberpunk? I guess. Not a whole lot of ability to configure it. This is all user generated. Upbeat artists, royalty-free music. You know, this makes me wonder how much of like the YouTube royalty-free music library is actually artist made versus people using like AI tools to help them just crank out vibes. Because that library is not small, you know? BPM, interesting. Now that, all right, well, so there's various music generators out there. I guess Mubert is one of them. Not really sure how I feel about it, but Coming back to this guy. No, it didn't finish properly. Let's try it again. So I don't know if this is an issue of like that clip interrogator saying that it was unavailable or busy, or if it's an issue with the browser, like because I was alt tabbing. So it does seem to be a little iffy sometimes with using what others have put out here. But obviously, if you're the type that knows how to leverage sources like Git and pull in different APIs or calls to create your own programs and whatnot, it's an interesting portal that I had found. Also, where's my dark mode? Oh, we had a dark mode over here. Where are you at? Might have to refresh the page. We'll see if... Nope. All right, let's refresh the page. Okay, there we go. Now we got dark mode. Nice. Yeah, maybe the page is out of sync. We'll try it again. Max it out. We'll hit loop. We'll generate. Not really sure again. Yeah, like what is causing this window here to not link the audio that we're expecting? We'll find out here in a second. Okay, so the window seems to freeze up whenever Discord is in front of it, which is an issue. I clicked on something. I'm not really sure what. Oh, clicked on a shortcut. All right. So, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be loading up the result we want. Now, is that because, oh, you can crop? Interesting. Maybe it doesn't like my track, or do we have to reload the page? I have noticed that several of these like AI sites also seem to have very short lifespans. So the session lifespan is pretty short. So I'm hoping closing it and reopening it might help us. We'll try it one more time. Maybe we'll stay on the page also just to make sure that leaving it, I mean, it should run in the background. The process wouldn't be halted just because the interface alt tabbed. That would be ridiculous. The machine doesn't care if we see it or not. It just won't render something just to save itself extra resources and whatnot is how it typically will work. So yeah, let's see if this one gives us a result. If not, oh, there it goes. So yeah, my guess, right, is that again, a lot of these kind of sites that might have large, what's the phrase for this? If it has a lot of traffic, right, like anything that involves like API calls, usually there's a lifespan. There might have been a different technical term that I'm forgetting for, but was it lifespan? Time to live? I forget. But anyways, essentially, like how long is the session good for, right? For anyone who uses browsers and understand browsers a little bit, right? You may have heard the term cookie, which is like the browser's way or the website's way of saving a little bit of information on your side of the systems to say, hey, you've been on the site before. This is the username that you used before. The last time you logged in was at this date. This cookie is good for say 30 days or 60 days. And then we'll have to ask you to, enter your login again, right? That type of stuff. So yeah, a lot of these API sites, if you don't have an account or like a premium plan with them, and in particular, a lot of these sites that involve AI-based activities seem to be pretty short in lifespan or login lifespan or whatever. Again, I might be missing the precise terminology here, but yeah, I've noticed this on another site that I use where I have to refresh it constantly because it'll just be like, hey, we've logged you out. I'm like, bro, it's been 5 minutes. Yeah, we logged you out. It's like, okay, fine. All right, but anyways, this art here, it's actually, now that we have a dark screen mode or a dark mode, right? This is the art. Let's see what the audio is. Oh, I dropped it down to 30 seconds too. Oh well, that's fine. We'll see what the vibe is. Here we go. So what I do like about it is it kind of had a vacuum playing in the background where it's like this, there's like that space ambience, I think is the word I'm looking for. Definitely kind of gave that, I don't know, not sure quite the words that describe it, but it had a bit of a the void of space vibe thing going on, right? What I don't like is I don't understand the guns. I don't know if those are supposed to be guns, but there's that da 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 in the and pretty contrast to the rest of what it had done. So why would it have done that? Was it because of the American flag and America equals guns? Curious. Let's do a longer track this time. See if it's maybe the length of the track also affects the type of audio. Obviously, each time we hit generate, it's gonna there's the potential for it to be something completely different. But this is interesting. What is it doing here? Why did it put guns in there? Is it really the American flag? Is it something to do with its outfit and the gear? Not sure. Oh, it's done already. That was quick. Okay. I hear a little bit of space. There's definitely just some like noise that it's been layered in with it. I can't tell if the song is supposed to be ambient or like hmm. I don't know if you guys heard that, but about directly a minute in, it seems like it went through a loop. I think it did. Maybe next time we'll drop the length down just to 60. All right, I think that's enough of a sample for me at least. But yeah, interesting. So I definitely got hints of well, there was clearly the theme of space managed to get captured across. But then there's like that spacey techie vibe, right? Through some of the little pops and crackles and wee 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 little space noises, whatever it was. Overall, I get it. Is it something I'd come back to? Probably not. Which again, I think is again one of the biggest issues I see with the AI generated stuff is that the initial impact is interesting, but the retention I don't quite see. Right, which I think is where the flavor and personality and the creativity of the physical artist, human side of it, is really what kind of lends to that. Because you don't go to you don't listen to music and I guess there are cases where you listen to music and you're just there for the vibes, right? But there's also different forms of expression when it comes to the music side of it, much like with the art side of it. Music has, you could express the feelings through music. There could be a story that's depicted through it. I was watching one of our VTuber buddies who recently put out a video where they were talking with another and they were doing poems. And it was interesting to hear. I know a lot of people might read the poem and just like look at the poem surface glance, but I was actually more curious about, I was actually more invested in how did they present their poem when they read it, and then how did the other person react and read into the poem. I thought that was fascinating. So like one of them was about change, the other one was about, I think, self, to a light degree, self-harm. But yeah, it's they're expressing themselves through words, the words they choose, the format and style they choose. You know, those are all the little things that I think are more interesting than just the output. Which, man, I wonder if ChatGPT is back up. Let's see here. Is ChatGPT? Let's see if it's available. Kinda, sorta. So if I were to try to be like, hey, write me a poem about change and growth. Yeah, let's see if it pulls this off. This is going to be corny as hell. All right, let's see how long it's going to be. But yeah, let me this is kind of detouring with the previous conversation, looking at kind of artistic expression, I suppose. All right, please don't make more than 4. Okay. So a poem about change and growth. Let's see how this compares in my mind. So change is the wind that guides us to new heights, a force that pushes us to shed old lights. Growth is the seed that blossoms with time, a journey that shapes us and makes us shine. God, this was made by Dr. Seuss. Come on. What is this? Who does rhymes like that anymore? The world is ever changing, always in flux, but with each step we gain new strength and luck. We learn and adapt, we evolve and grow, we journey on as with each step we grow, or we know. The past is gone, a memory to hold, but the future is ours, yet untold. So let us embrace the change that comes our way and trust in the growth that leads to a brighter day. For change and growth are 2 sides of the same coin, a dance that helps us to find our own joy. So let us embrace the journey with grace and trust in the change and growth to find our place. God, I hate it. Message is okay, but the poem structure is way too basic. Let's just dick around with it real quick here and see, can you be more creative? just be like, that's now obviously this is something that you really got to kind of do it yourself. Wow, it's gonna go super metaphorical, isn't it? All right, we'll read this one and then we're gonna move back on. We're actually coming up towards the end of the hour anyway, so probably wrap it up. Maybe one more audio example just for comparison. I want to try like an object, see, because so far, right, we've tried the space dude here, which gave us a very spacey vibe. We started off where I shared the little fox, which gave us a very interesting take on it. We used the abstract one, which gave us a definitely something interesting. I should have probably saved them just so I can compare, but oh well. But I think, gosh, what would be something? Have I made an object? This one. Let's do this one. What would that be? That might be interesting. Is it done? All right. So like a caterpillar in its cocoon, we struggle and we push, but soon we break free and spread our wings to soar above. Cheesy, corny, don't like it. Change is the fire that burns away the old, a rebirth, a new beginning, bold. Ooh, that's a statement right there. Okay, that one's okay. Growth is the climb up the steep mountain's peak, a challenge, a test, but oh, the view is unique. I'm okay with the second verse. Is it a verse? I forget. But this one's less corny and a bit more thought provoking. I think it's also just the way it's making statement rather than making dumbass rhymes. And as much as bold and old and peak and unique are clever, sure, sort of, kind of. But anyways, the leaves fall from the trees in autumn's chilly breeze, but they'll return in spring with new life and new being. Like the moon's phases, we go through changes, but just like the tides, we'll keep moving forward with new guides. Also, don't care for that. That's nah, I don't know about that. Let us welcome the change that comes our way, for it's through growth and transformation we'll find our true self and our own way. Too corny. But yeah, this second part. Change is the fire that burns away the old. A rebirth, a new beginning, bold. Like bold is so out of place, I feel. Like it was added for the rhyme, but I don't know. It's like a period. It's like, listen to me, period. You know? That comes across okay in my books. Growth is the climb up a steep mountain's peak, a challenge, a test, but oh, the view is unique. Again, the view is unique is, I think, feels like a little out of left field, but at the mountain's peak, the view is pretty unique. So yeah, this one's a little like a statement and then provoke some thought. Because the challenge, a test, but oh, the view is unique. Yeah, this one's okay. This 4 lines right here gets a pass from me. The rest of it was cheese on top of cheese sauce. So meh. All right. Last little audio test with this image to music model here. Something that was created by some guy out in the world, I assume. But a bottle of some flowy red liquid. What could it be? All right, generate. Give that a shot. Yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this series here and today's episode, where we kind of look at some alternative tools. Might be something as I go out there and play around with some other tools and discover more about kind of what's been made, what people are doing, what's existed. Maybe we'll bring something on like this again and try it out. Just to shout out this individual here, right? Although the platform that we're checking out here is HuggingFace. FFF Iloni, FFFILONI is the individual who put this together. So shout out to this dude or person who did this. Interesting. Very good job. Very interesting work. Looks like we didn't get an audio out of it. So again, with all the tabbing out, right? If we're tabbed out of it, if it's not like the active window, that is oftentimes how websites are able to identify, right? If they should terminate the session or not. So by tabbing out for too long and then coming back, we probably lost our session, which then drops our ability to get an output, even if everything leading into it feels like it's working. So if you've ever noticed that with certain like sites that, especially the more technical focused it is, just keep that in mind. You might need to leave that as like an active window on a separate browser rather than putting it out of focus is my 2 cents there. I know a lot of the technical websites, especially from like a security solutions perspective, if the window was not like, if you're not actively using the site for security reasons, because there might be some sensitive information, they'll close out your session. So that way, like a person who, like if you walk away and go to the restroom, right, someone's not going to like tab through your browser and find what you had access to. It kicked them out. But refreshing doesn't seem to have done the trick here. So let's try, what could we do? How can we clear this? 6 in use. Either that or just because, again, those models in the background are having issue. Maybe it's just not working at the moment. Have we pushed our luck too far? I would like to try to get one more going. Worst case scenario, maybe I'll load up like a private window and see if that changes the behavior at all. Maybe I'll just do that just to get it started. Let's see, was there a dark mode? Maybe no dark mode until you have a login. Yeah, doesn't seem like there's a dark mode over here. Okay, yeah, it looks like that's not working properly, so let me try once again. We'll open it up in a private window. We'll try adding that image. And generate a looping track. Let's see if this one works. All right, pardon the sudden change to white that you're about to get. Here we go. On a private window, let's see if this works. But yeah, what other tools have you guys played with? What have you seen out there? Have you seen anything? Are you even looking into it? I do feel like there will come a point where anyone will be able to gain at least a semblance of artistic creativity, or at least a way to express their imagination. Myself, not coming from an artistic background, but going down the path of a technical role, and then a little over a year ago, deciding that that world is gonna burn in a way, decided to pursue a little bit more of a creative endeavor and something a bit more community involved. Is it paying off? Absolutely not. But am I enjoying it? Absolutely yes. So, we're going to keep trying it. But yeah, I think there is going to come a point where it's going to be very possible for someone of any background to be able to pursue an endeavor that they desire, which I think we're seeing a little bit more of with how people have been able to start businesses, not do their typical, what they were told needed to be done, and be able to pursue something of their own choosing, which I think is special. I think that type of an environment should be encouraged. But yeah, looks like the site might not be working, might not be running on all cylinders. Either that, or maybe there's an issue where it has no idea how to deal with such an image. We'll try. Gosh, I don't want to keep saying we'll try one more, but all right, we're going to have to make a call here. The worst thing that I could try is closing out of all of my browsers, because I still have a couple of browsers open. So technically the application hasn't closed if it's saving some sort of a session duration just because I have my browser open and there's a connection that occurs. I'm not sure how it's handling it, but it's very possible that it's just, somewhere along the process it failed. So you just got to keep trying it until you get an output out of it. I mean, that is possible too. Am I feeling lucky, punk? I don't know if I am. I don't think it's going to work, but I'll be pleasantly surprised if it does. Oh, I just had to say something. Typical. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you, Murphy. I always knew you were watching over me. All right. All right, let's see what this one sounds like. So this is, again, just a simple bottle, not even a simple bottle, but a bottle that has some interesting glowing liquid inside. What kind of an audio are we going to get out of this? That's an interesting take. Feel like it looped again. Yeah. All right, that's probably good enough. Yeah, it does seem to be looping itself roughly around the 1 minute mark. Either that or that's kind of where it's creating a separation, right? So interesting. Yeah, interesting. It gave me a vibe of like industrial with like a little tinge of like electricity that runs through. Definitely gave it a bit more of an ambient vibe, but makes me wonder what did the text image to text generate based on this image? Because I don't know, I'm assuming like the liquid gives it a bit more of like an ambient, something's emerging kind of a vibe, or it's uneasy. Did it have a bit of an uneasy vibe to it? I feel like the coils, or what looks like coils, or even though it's not quite separated uniformly, right? But on the edges of the bottle, right, there's a bit more of a mechanical component, kind of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a frame. Wondering if that's where the kind of industrial, steampunky, sci-fi kind of vibe comes from. But yeah, interesting take. But this is probably something that I'll mess with on my own in a couple of other ways, and maybe if we see an improvement or some sort of a resource that takes advantage of an image to music, I would be very interested to find a model out there that takes the image itself and converts the image to music in a sense of based on color. Maybe it's smart enough to identify objects versus backgrounds versus characters, right? Maybe it would be smart enough in some way to identify the theme, right? Whether it's cyberpunk or say horror or say space or ocean or who knows what. Ooh, speaking of ocean, I wonder what like an ocean sound would come across as. I forget. Did I do the whale one? Did I? Did I do the whale one? Did I do this one? I don't know if I did. I forgot if I did or not. But yeah, definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. So many tools out there, a lot of different models out there. Very interested to see how it's all going to grow and evolve. I do think we're going to see an explosion of this in 2023, 2024. I can't see it not being inevitable. But yeah, for those checking us out, thank you for tuning in. Soul, good luck with whatever you're learning out there. And we will be playing a little bit of Minecraft this evening. We'll do our typical just relax, run around, see who's online, see what people want to do and talk about. I enjoyed what we did last week where we ended up going on a bit of an exploration, found some polar bears, got some ice. Some folks were building a racetrack, so we'll jump in, see if that was completed or if there's some work that needs to be done still. I know a few folks stayed on a little later than we did, but I want to say that it's maybe partway done. I don't know if anyone's actually been on since, but we typically keep it to Thursdays around the time that we'll be starting. So yeah, if you're interested in that, we do a variety of things on this channel, and the Exploring AI series is one that we started just last week. So thank you all for tuning in, enjoying it. Let's check out maybe one last one of this image here, just because I'm curious, and then we'll cut it to the end. Okay. We did do this one. I remember now. Pretty sure we did. I think I like this one out of all of them, though. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll catch you next time, wherever you may be. Have a great one. Take it easy. And with that, enjoy and bye. Let's go.